Bruh, y'all cut it out. You done had your run, and you had fun doing it. I had one of my subscribers to ask me a question, and I don't know if he want to be on here, so I'm not gonna put him on. I mean, put his page on. But he asked me a question, and the question was, why do older men over 60, hate on younger men? Because I think he's in his 40s. And every time I don't know if it's one person or a couple people, but every time he try to get advice from him or tell him his goals and stuff like that, he always basically, the other person, the older dude, always kind of down him or hating on him or stuff like that. And that ain't cool, you feel me? So let's talk about it. One of the reasons why I think men over a certain age act that way is because they didn't get to where they wanted to be, so to speak. Not only that, but it's like they know their youth is gone now. You know what I'm saying? And you in your prime, you young, you got all of this going for you, and they kind of done with. I mean, I don't like the phrase washed up because I don't believe nobody is really washed up. I think it's all about your mindset and your way of life and whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But I think one of the main reasons is because my answer to him, my initial answer to him was, I don't think it's hate. I just think that some people don't know how to deal with certain situations like that, because I've gotten older and I can't do this, I can't do that, and I'm missing the days when I used to be able to do this and do that and all of that type of stuff. And here you come along, and now I feel like you throwing it in my face that I'm old and washed up. But that's not even your what's the word? That's not even your intention to do that. It's just that you're probably the younger man is going to the older man for some advice or some stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And obviously he would expect for that person to be happy for him because he's trying to do right and he's moving in the right direction and all of that kind of stuff like that. But sometimes it's just the opposite, because it happens, because all of us haven't made the best decisions and all of us didn't attain our goals or our things that we wanted in life. You know what I'm saying? And then he told me and then he mentioned a little bit more about the man, and he said that the man was divorced and probably broke, and that'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Been there, done that. But again, my mentality on that when it happened to me wasn't that nah, I'm a hate on every young man that come. My thing is, if you know, and you can look at any of my videos and they'll basically tell you that I'm all about helping the youngsters. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about giving some game of what not to do. I mean, you could take it or leave it, but my whole thing is to build you up and to help you out and to tell you don't make the same mistakes I made. But I ain't trying to hate on you, but that's who I am. I can't say that everybody is going to have that mentality, because a lot of older men are angry. A lot of older men are bitter. They frustrated because, number one, and I'm going to just keep it real. Never mind. Anyway, like I said, they're bitter, they're angry, they're frustrated, and they feel like I said again, they didn't get where you are in life, or they didn't get to make because of the decisions they made. It wasn't nobody else's fault. It was their own decisions and their own either lack of drive or lack of motivation or whatever the situation was that put them where they are. It was their own fault. And you'll hear me saying that all the time. It ain't nobody's fault but mine. It's not nobody, because I made all of my decisions. I made all of my choices. But at the same time, some people are not able to take that. Some people are not able to admit that. And so they get frustrated and they get angry and they get on a whole nother level. I keep saying frustration, and I said never mind earlier. I was going to sex. Sex is a major part of life for men and women. You can say what you want, whether it is or not. Some people like it, some people don't, whatever. But it's a major part of life. When you get a certain age, sometimes you get less, sometimes you don't get any. And that's frustration 100 times over. Let me just say that. So I don't want to leave y'all stuck on the never mind. So that's where I was going. And that's what I mean by frustration. Not only sexual frustration, but frustration that now I'm old and don't nobody pay attention to me. Now I'm old and my word don't mean nothing. Well, of course it don't. If you constantly putting somebody down, or you constantly, if you're on the other side where you constantly stunting on other people, or you know what I'm talking about. But saying all of that to say is, sometimes people do stuff that they don't even realize they're doing because they're so angry, because they're so frustrated, and because of where they are in life. You know what I'm saying? And it's not fair to the next person, but they don't even realize that they're doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a real thing, and it's a hurtful thing, and it's, you know what I'm saying? That's why you hear people telling their high school football stories, and I used to be the running back for so-and-so, and I did this, I had this, these were my stats, and I had all the girls and everything like that. But now you sitting at home, you got gray hair, nobody don't pay attention to you, nobody call you, nobody, you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. That in itself can be frustrating. You know what I'm saying? I talk about that a lot. But again, some of us deal with it differently. I'm not saying I handle it better than the next person does. All I'm saying is I try not to. I can't say I have never done it because I don't know from somebody else's standpoint. But I always try not to put that on to somebody else. I always try to be the positive one, and to say, hey, I made this mistake. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I've done the baby mama drama thing. Don't do that. I've done this. Don't do that. This can lead to that. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I try to do. But all I can be is me. And I'm not putting me up on a pedestal by saying those things. I'm just saying that everybody don't have that same outlook on it. Now, do I feel like at times I need some attention, or do I feel like at times like a nobody, or like I used to do this and I can't do that, and there's not too much that I can't do anymore, and I thank God for that, because even though I'm out of shape physically, I'm in good shape for my age. I can still do a lot of the things that I did when I was younger, and that's a blessing. But everybody can't. Some people can't even get around on their own. Some people, they're in a different place in life, mentally and physically. And that's got to be rough. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak on that because I don't have to deal with that. Now, in some cases, I get it. Because I mentioned before, boy, when we was young, if the wind blow, You know where I'm going with that. And not to say that it don't work, but it don't work like it used to work, or it don't work like I want it to work all the time. But that's another video for another time. But I'm saying that to say that can be frustrating. That can be aggravating. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people, or some people, I won't say a lot, some people wear that on their shoulders. Some people wear that on their sleeves. Some people can't hide that. Some people can't deal with that without kind of blaming the world for it, or blaming time, or whatever they blame for it. But you get caught up in that blame because now you at the peak of your life. You doing this, you doing that. You got a decent job. You got money. You can do this, you can do that, and these people over here struggling, not only physically but mentally as well, and sometimes financially. You know what I'm saying? Because some people can't even work anymore. They might have illnesses, but anyway, you get the picture. That's what I'm trying to say about that. But for the OGs and for the old heads and for the OGs, bro, y'all gotta do better. We gotta do better, because it's up to us. Because I had another subscriber to tell me that I was like a father figure to him, and that's super cool to me. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my intention to get on here and try to be a father figure or tell people what to do or give people advice on what they should and shouldn't do. My intention was to get on here and share my experience in hopes that some people don't go through the same things or make the same mistakes that I've made. Now, most people will go through some of the same things, but just don't make the same mistakes, because this is where you end up if you make these mistakes. You feel what I'm saying? That's my intention, but it actually did good for me. It did my heart some good that the young sir would say that, because like I told him, most men, young or old, ain't gonna admit nothing like that. You feel what I'm saying? But again, sometimes even though we're older, we don't have the knowledge or the wisdom. And even if we do, sometimes we're too bitter and angry to share it. You know what I'm saying? Not only bitter and angry, but frustrated. And because that whole thing of trying to regain your youth, it's a real thing. It's a real life thing. It's a reality for a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? I understand that I can't. I understand that I can never go back. We all understand that. But there's still those times where you feel like, boy, if I could do this, or boy, I wish I could. You know, that's life. And one day, for the youngsters, you're going to be there too. Now, whether you made good decisions or bad ones, whether you got everything you wanted out of life, whether you didn't, whatever the situation is, one day, if you keep living, how the old folks say, just keep living, one day you'll be there too. And until you're there, you'll never understand that feeling of being there, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying give OG a pass. I'm not saying keep dealing with him, because in my opinion, I would get away from people like that. Not to say put them down or don't mess with them at all, but I wouldn't listen. You can't take advice from people like that, because they're not giving you the best advice. I've been divorced twice. The first one wasn't so bad. It was bad in the sense that it was a divorce. But the second one, it damn near took me out. But in my opinion, if somebody asked me about marriage, I would still tell them today that it's a beautiful thing. I'll still tell them today that even though that one didn't work, and even though that one almost took me out, there were some good points or good parts of that marriage as well. You feel me? And I can't say that the good outweigh the bad, because that's usually what we say. But in that particular situation, it did more than just, it was more of I learned a lot. I learned what not to do. I learned what I should do more. I learned a lot. But like I say, it was rough. It almost took me out. I felt like I lost everything in the world, because I lost my wife. I lost my children. And I had been in that situation for 20-some years. And now it was just me. I could have gotten bitter, and I was bitter for a lot of stuff, but not at other people. Not like if I saw somebody else, or if somebody else asked me some advice on marriage or what I should do. I never say, oh, hell no, I run. I wouldn't do that. Because that was that person. That was our situation. That don't mean that's going to be the same for you. Now, I can tell you some of the things to look for. I can tell you some of the things to be vigilant about in that. You know what I'm saying? But I would never tell somebody, and this was even before I remarried. I was in a bad way. I'm not going to stunt. But I still never thought about marriage differently than I do today, or than I did before. But everybody don't feel that way, because I've talked to people that's gotten divorced. I've talked to people that was in relationships and broke up. And I've said this before too. I've talked to people that everything about that woman was bad. You wouldn't have married her if that was the case. You feel me? But you did. So it couldn't have been all bad. And even in the beginning of the marriage, it couldn't have been all bad, because you stayed together until you couldn't stay together anymore, or until it fell apart or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm rambling. I don't want to ramble, so I'm going to wind it up. But my whole point in saying that is to say, you can't take advice from everybody just because you think, or because they got some gray hair, or they have lived a X amount of years, and they might have good advice. Everybody don't have good advice. I don't always have good advice. You know what I'm saying? But the only difference in my advice and their advice is mine comes from a different place from theirs. Their advice is coming from hurt and anger and all of those different things that I've experienced before as well. But I'm trying my best not to give you that or put that on you. You know what I'm saying? Because that ain't for you. That happened to me. That don't mean that's going to happen to you. Now, I can share that so you can know what to look for to not allow it to happen to you. But just know that just because a person is an OG or old head don't mean they got all of the answers. Or don't even mean they going to tell you the truth or the right. You know what I'm saying? Because they talking from hurt. They talking from, it's experience. It's their experience. But they're talking from hurt and anger and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because now this so-and-so done took me for everything I got. I gave her this amount of years, and I did this. And not just like women. I gave him children, and I gave him all of these years of my life, and this fool gonna go out here and do this and do that and the third, and I was faithful and I was this. They do the same thing in some cases. That's why, again, and I'm gonna say this for the last time, and I'm gonna get out of here. Just because I got some gray hair and I've lived to be a certain age, don't mean that I have wisdom and knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that. And even if I do, that don't always mean that I'm going to give you the right thing, because I may not even be coming from the right place. I hope this helped. Y'all be easy, and we'll see you in the next one. One love.